Hello, welcome back to tomorrow's teaching. And here we go with our first session. I will briefly show you where we will work, how we will work with Python. And don't worry, you don't have to install anything because we are working with Google Colab, which is a cloud-based environment. So you don't need anything but your browser. And let us now begin immediately. We have a look here. If you go to Google and search for Colab, you will get these results that you see here. You will get the link to the main Colab page and then your notebooks and whatever news and resources and so on. So just don't worry, just click the first link and then eventually perhaps you have to log in with your Google account and then you will end up in this. And this here is the main page of Colab. You also will not have this text. This text I have already added. These are the notes for this presentation, but it will be empty. It will look essentially like Google Docs, and it works essentially like Google Docs. To some extent, of course, it's a programming environment, but you can just type text, you can format text, you can do all the things in the way that you expect. Your data is organized in notebooks within Google Colab. A notebook is just a file, it's just a document, what would be one document in Google Docs. And as a document in Google Docs can have multiple parts, it can have multiple chapters, you can write a whole book in one document. So here also every notebook can have different programs in it. You don't need to write one program in one notebook. And actually it's bad style. It's good to have one project in one notebook, the same way like you have a writing project in one Google Docs document, even if it's composed of multiple parts. And so here you would have your whole programming project in one notebook, and we will do one lesson in one notebook. And then you have different parts to your program, which can be either code or documentation, notes about your program. And this is the big advantage of Google Colab over other environments, that it clearly separates the code from the documentation. So you can write about your program the way I did it here. If you look at the screen now, you see I have written all sorts of comments and slides and text about what I want to tell you. And I can mix this with code. And we will see later how this works. Okay, so why do we want to use such an environment in the browser instead of installing it locally? Obviously, if you have to install it locally, you have to install it. And you not only have to install it, you also have to maintain it. And later, different Python versions can change. And then you have to adapt your programs. And perhaps you have to change your libraries on the way because now they don't fit your newer Python version. And you get into all sorts of trouble that you can avoid by using Google Colab, which is hosted, and it's also free to some extent. So Google offers this for free, but of course Google is not a charity. They want you to get into this by using it for free for a while. But if you use it very much, you will have to pay. So you get some number of, it's not very clearly defined how much, some number of computing time for free, which should be enough for all the exercises in this course. So you should be able to do this course with a free Google Colab. Yeah, so it's a great starting point. It's completely free. You don't have any hassle installing anything. You can just now begin programming in Python. And the first thing you see now when you look at this program here in front of you in the browser, right, at this page, you will see you have a title on top, and then you have the usual menu with file, edit, view, insert, and so on. This is like in Google Docs, most of it. And then you have your text area in which you can write text or programs. And you can see already this area here is divided into different boxes. And these boxes are called cells. And you have different cells. So here, for example, I have one cell, and I can just keep writing something. And on the right side, you see it updated how it will look when I leave the cell. So what you're writing here is technically called Markdown, but don't worry about it. You just can write normal text as you would expect it. And then if you want to make something bold, you use these two little stars, or if you want to make it italics, you use one star. That's all you need to know. And when you have headings, you use these hash marks, and the more hash marks you have, the smaller the heading is. So the first heading is 1 hash mark, the second heading is 2 hash marks. And so in this way you can write your documentation. If you click out of the box, it is automatically updated, and if you want to save it, you have to press Ctrl S, which will save your changed notebook. It will save it normally on your Google Drive so that later you can find it again. So you don't have to worry when you leave this, your notebooks are still there in Google Drive. You can make the font bigger. Perhaps you cannot read it so well right now. Pressing Ctrl, Shift, and Plus makes the font bigger. And now you can read it more comfortably. So I think we will leave it like this. Okay, let's go down a little bit. What I want to do, I have taken some notes here. So the next thing we want to see is to rename the notebook. Try to rename this notebook. It's easy. You go up here, you double click onto the name of the notebook, and now you can rename it. Here we go. Okay, in this way I could rename it, I could change the name, I could add something. And when I'm finished, I just press return. You should always rename your notebooks, of course, so that you know what's in there, like with your docs. We already talked about how to add text, but now you can also add code cells. So what you see here are text cells, and up here you have two buttons, plus code, plus text. So you can decide, do I want to add code or do I want to add text? Text is just for you, it's just to explain what your program is doing or to create, like I do here, some outline or some slides. And code is where you actually add Python code. So if I press plus code, it will insert a code cell below where I'm working right now. And you see now we have it here, start coding or generate with AI. Now here I can write, whatever Python code I want and execute it by pressing this little arrow here on the left, right? This play button, then it will execute my code. Okay, I can delete these cells if I created one that I didn't want. I just go here to the right, very right on the screen, you see delete cell. I can press this and delete the cell, or I can move the cell up and down. If I moved it accidentally to the wrong position, I can press this and then my cell will move up. And so now you see it's over things to try, while before it was under things to try, right? So in this way, I can move my cells around, and now I will just delete that cell because I don't need it. I've already prepared my code cells. So now I can press this and my cell disappeared. So time to begin. Exciting times. To write and run my first program, I create a code cell. I did this already. And then I simply type into the cell. Python can be used like a calculator. It understands numbers, obviously, right? It's a computer, after all, a computer language. It can compute, it can calculate. So we can just type a number like 23 and execute it. To execute it, I either press this play button, or if you hover over the play button, it will tell you what else you can do. This is always a good idea. Google Colab is full of these hover suggestions. When you do something, it always gives you tips what else you can do. So run cell is, it says in brackets, Control and Enter. So I could just press Control and Enter and then execute this, or I could click on it. It also tells me the cell has not been executed in this session. This is sometimes important to know if I have a program that is in pieces and I need to know if a previous piece has already been executed or not. I can find it there. And now I did execute it. So it's executed by Dr. Andreas Matthias, the time, and the time it took to execute. So this is not important for us. Okay, what happened? 23, I executed it, and out comes 23. Surprise? 23 is just a number. It's not an instruction to do anything. So the only thing that happens is that Python says, okay, I know 23, right? And it gives it back to you. You could also see it as an operation, a mathematical operation. You are using 23 and doing nothing with it, so the result is 23. So that's what we get. Now I have added a text cell here just to show you can document your program here, and in the next cell we will try an arithmetic operation. So what I do now here is to enter any arithmetic operation. So I press Ctrl Enter now. This is a little faster than always going to this play button, and also it avoids this suggestion box popping up every time and obscuring my screen. So now it says 35, which is obviously correct, right? And I can do all kinds of calculations in there. You can look them up online, what operators Python understands. So here is one, 42 divided by 2. This is not a big surprise, what you expect, 21. And you saw, perhaps you noticed, the first time you start your notebook and you execute something, it takes longer because in the background on Google servers, Colab has to start a new Python instance, initialize it, give it to you, start your Python interpreter and so on. And so this takes quite a long time. The first time takes a few seconds. But the second time, the third time, whenever now my instance is running, it goes much faster. So I can make a change now, 42, let's say, multiplied by 2 and execute that. And you see it almost immediately comes back, 84. Okay, let us do one more thing before we continue. What if I say 42 divided by 5, execute it, and I get 8.4. So this is just to show you can have fractions, obviously. You can have what is called floating point numbers, where you have parts of the number after the decimal point. Okay, when I'm finished with my notebook, I want to save it. So you press Ctrl S to save it, or you go up here to the menu and you see in the menu you can open a new notebook, you can upload a notebook. If you have one saved somewhere, you can rename it, you can move it, you can save a copy, or you can just click Save, Ctrl S, which is the default saving, and saves it in your Google Drive. Or you can start a new notebook, right? After you finish one project, you click on New Notebook, you get a new notebook. And with this, we are finished for today. This was all. I just wanted to introduce you briefly to this environment. So I will see you next time when we will talk about real programming, how we can actually use some Python in this environment. Thank you, and see you in the next video.